Welcome to Wild Willow Dolls. In today's video, I'm showing you how to make a Waldorf doll head. This tutorial is part of the 15-inch Waldorf doll pattern available in my Etsy shop, which is linked in the description. Let's talk about supplies. To make your Waldorf doll head, you will need a long doll making needle and an embroidery needle, upholstery thread in a flesh tone, I use the brand Gutermann, a soluble fabric marker, a crochet hook, I'm using a size 3.5 millimeters, a felting needle, your doll skin fabric, I'm using the brand DeWitt & Gell in the shade Olive, and of course your wool batting. You will need about 300 grams of wool for the whole doll. Begin by tearing strips of wool batting about the width of your hand. Divide the strip a few times until you get a nice thin strip of wool batting. Tie a few knots at the end of your strip of batting and use this as a starting point to begin rolling your ball of wool. Wrap your strip of wool over itself, keeping the wool pulled taut in one hand and compressing the ball in the other. By applying tension to the wool, you will create a more dense ball. You want your ball to be very firm with not very much give. The first stage of creating the ball is the most difficult in my opinion, and it gets easier as the ball gets bigger. Wrap your wool at different angles to start making a rounded shape. Don't be afraid of unwrapping and rewrapping strips if your ball is looking a little wonky. You'll get better with more practice. Add more strips by holding the end in place and wrapping the strip around a few times in one direction. Keep wrapping in different directions, being sure to hold the wool tight to make the ball firm. Keep making the ball until it measures between 12 to 13 inches in circumference. I like my finished ball to be a bit of an oval shape as this is more natural for a doll head. Cut a 25 centimeter length of tubular bandage. Using a sewing needle and some flesh-toned thread, make a basting stitch around one of the openings. Leave a tail at the beginning of the basting stitch, and when you've finished stitching all the way around, tie the two ends of the thread together. This will close the opening of the bandage. Tie this off with a double knot. Take 4 strips of batting about 30 centimeters long and as wide as your hand and lay them in a star shape. Place the ball in the center of the star and pull the strips of wool up and around the ball and hold in place. Insert your other hand into the tubular bandage that you sewed closed. Grab the ball that has been covered in wool, pull the bandage down and grip firmly at the base of the ball. Take a length of your upholstery thread and wrap it tightly around the base of the ball about 5 times, but don't tie this off. This will be the top of the neck. Cut a long length of upholstery thread. Anchor one end of the thread to your non-dominant hand by wrapping it around your pointer and middle finger a few times. Then wind the thread horizontally around the ball just below the center point. This will be your eye line. Wrap the thread about 5 to 7 times, pulling tighter each time you wrap. As you keep wrapping the thread, it will begin to grip to itself and will hold its tension. When you've pulled it as tight as it will get, tie off into a double knot. Name is Fia. That's right.
Hello.
Take a bit of wool and roll it into a small oval shape. We'll use this to add some volume to the lower portion of the face. Choose which side of the ball you would like to be the front of the head. Unwrap the thread that is around the neck, lift up the bandage and the wool strips, and insert that little roll of wool just underneath the eye line. Pull all the wool and bandage back down. Make sure your wool and the bandage is pulled really taut over the head and grip firmly under the chin. You may have to readjust a few times to get the right shape, and that's okay. Rewrap the neck and tie it off this time. Use your crochet hook to straighten out the eye line if you need to. Using your dissolvable fabric marker, make a mark in the center of the eye line. Now, still on the eye line, make a mark where you would like one of the ears to sit. Measure the distance between the center mark and the ear mark, and make a mark on the other side the same distance from the eye line. Measure from the base of the head up to the ear marks and make sure that they are the same. Take a long length of your upholstery thread. Anchor your thread to the first ear mark and tie off, leaving a tail about 20 centimeters long. Make a few stitches over the ear mark in a cross pattern. Make sure you are stitching over the thread that you used to tie off the eye line. Insert your long doll making needle into the first ear mark and pull through to the ear mark on the opposite side. Make a few stitches in a cross pattern just like you did at the first ear mark. Then pull the thread back through the head to the first ear mark. Bring your thread under the chin and up to the second earmark, making a stitch under the chin to anchor in place. Stitch behind the second earmark to anchor the thread in place and bring it up to the top of the head. Anchor the thread at the top of the head with a stitch and repeat, so that the thread is essentially wrapped around the head twice. Pull tight and tie off using the tail end of the initial stitch that you made. Use your crochet hook to pull the back of the eye line down to the base of the head. Invisible stitch across the outside edges of the eyeline to create a nice shape. It's important to create a sturdy neck, as this will help hold the head up. It's like the spine of your doll. Take some strips of wool batting and wrap them very tightly around the neck. Use your felting needle to gently felt the neck in place. If you've wrapped the wool tightly, you shouldn't need to felt that much, just enough to firm up the neck and keep everything in place. Using your dissolvable fabric marker, make an oval shape about 1 centimeter wide where you want the nose to be. If you were to divide the portion of the head underneath the eyeline into thirds, I position the nose at the bottom of the first third and the mouth at the bottom of the second third. I've drawn the mouth for demonstrative purposes. Take your flesh-toned embroidery thread and anchor with a knot at the center of the nose. Satin stitch vertically across the nose, then stitch over again with horizontal stitches. Finally, stitch across the nose vertically again, keeping your stitches very close together and making sure the thread doesn't get twisted. Insert the neck into the head fabric that you've sewn together. Gently pull the fabric up over the head, trying to get the fabric as smooth as possible. Sew a basting stitch around the opening at the top and pull to gather slightly before tying off. Tie off the neck by tightly wrapping a length of upholstery thread around a couple of times and tying a knot. Cut a circle of fabric large enough to cover the opening and stitch around the edges to hold in place. Don't worry about hiding this stitch as it will be covered by the hair. You can find the full pattern and tutorial for this doll in my Etsy shop, linked in the description below. Thank you for watching and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.